Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Signatory Glen Elgin 33-year-old. First fill Oloroso, cask 4073. We got bottle 68 of 529. This thing is 54.2% ABV. Super dark. Keith, what can you tell us about it? Share a bottle, buddy.
So I've been wanting to get...
Signatory King over here.
I do love me some Signatory
You do.
sherry cask. Now, I agree with Dustin that there are sometimes some very disappointing sherry casks. But I also have had the flip side experience of also having some really good sherry casks. So anyways, anytime I see like a distillery that I haven't had very much of that is in craft presentation, cask strength, non-chill filtered, that freaking dark, which again, darkness does not always mean quality, but it can be an indication.
Keith loves dark whiskey.
So, Glen Elgin is a Speyside distillery. They use worm tubs, so there's less contact with copper, so it's a more meatier, heavier distillate. So in first fill, that's the other thing. I'm into not all these finishing, all this stuff. I want to see a sherry cask, a good sherry cask, for 33 freaking years and hasn't done anything else. And that is what this one has done.
And that is almost always an absolutely stupid idea, Keith. And yet I just knows this. Smells amazing.
Yeah, stupid idea. What are you talking about? Some of the best whiskeys I've had were in sherry casks for 27 years.
But those are usually single casks because they were the cask that survived.
All right, look. This was distilled 6.6 and 91. That was before my wife was born. And this was bottled in 22 of August in 2024. You know what I always think when I see a 33-year-old whiskey? Glorious Bastards. Mm-hmm. That bar scene. You got a 33-year-old Scotch. You did the wrong German ones do it like this. He did it like this.
Man.
I did not realize that was 33-year-old Scotch. That was a great scene, though.
That was a great scene.
But no, what I was getting at, Keith, is, I mean, a lot of times when you go first fill sherry for that long, it just gets overpowered.
Not this one. This
smells incredible.
You get Tootsie Rolls. There's cucumber water in the background.
Ooh, cucumber. Nice note.
It's an interesting note, but that is...
Yes.
I get exactly where you're going.
Yes. Good note, Keith.
Only it's grape water.
There's grape water, too. I get some grape juice.
No. I mean, like, literally, like, if you put water and just put a couple grapes in there, it's actually got that note. It's crazy. So my biggest complaint on these Signatories has been, like, the heavy oak notes. There's none of that here. This is incredibly...
Well, do you see...
For a first fill sherry, man.
Look at the year. What was it, 1991?
1991. So...
I can't remember the year when Spain decided that all their sherry had to be bottled in Spain, so we weren't getting all those casks shipped up to England that were sitting in the good sherry that like aged for 30 years that people were going to drink. But I think it was either the late 80s or the early 90s, so this may be one of the good
the travel casks or whatever they're called.
Yeah. It's good, decadent, sweet sherry.
Yeah, but I mean, again, there's just that... My problem is I feel like Signatory, they taste like they just charred the hell out of those like Spanish oak casks.
And that's when it's...
This doesn't taste like that.
They typically do that when they're finishing it or switching it to another barrel. This one, or if they're doing the young one, where it's like a crappy first fill and they're just like held young sherry. They do that, yes.
First fill.
I've had. Yeah, you're right. I've not had that on something over like...
Yeah, this is a sweet old... They usually...
I've maybe had 20 years that sucks, but never anything. But this is incredible on the nose.
I mean, there's just nothing off-putting. This is beautiful, sweet, perfect sherry.
Yeah, I mean, the only like note I would give here that could come off-putting is I get a little bit of like a Play-Doh note, but in like the best way, like in a grape Play-Doh kind of thing. I actually really like it here.
Like that boutique 22-year-old.
Don't talk about it. Don't speak about it.
This even has a
I
little
want
bit...
to get one more bottle before it's gone.
So this even has like a little bit of smoke on it going here.
Yeah, like wood smoke. It's 33 years, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, like, that I wasn't expecting that, but a little bit of wood smoke, a little bit of mint, actually.
A little bit of burnt brown sugar.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not quite into the blueberry-blackberry territory, is it? It's fruity, but not...
No, it has blackberry sweetness, but not the tart.
There's too much smoke for me to decipher that, but I can get both of those. Like
this smells so clean though, for what it is.
God, does Signatory use dunnage ware? Because it's like earthy in a good way.
I mean,
Do Signatory use dunnage warehouses?
You know better than
I think they do. At least some of them. I know they have like 30%.
This is very off profile for Signatory for an Oloroso, especially first fill.
I've never had Oloroso like this from Signatory. Now, I don't know if, again, I don't know this distillery that well. I've had a couple Glen
Elgin. Number finishes.
Yeah, maybe.
I've had a few. I've had a decent number of first fills, or even like, full maturation second fills. This is just very different.
Yeah.
You've spoiled us enough, Keith, and I've had a few myself, but this
is excellent. This is 90 plus whiskey on the nose.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. Oh man, we've had some good sherried whiskeys tonight.
This
might be the most aristocratic of any of the sherried whiskeys we've had.
So one note I also got to put out here is
it's a winner.
The alcohol's not coming through at all here. Really on the nose, it's very nice.
And this was just opened 2 days ago. I wonder once it's opened up.
Nice.
Yeah, I got into it one night.
Bro.
It was probably up to there, and they only get it up to there.
Look at the shoulders on that thing.
I know.
You had 2, 3.
It's been a rough week.
You had two quality. Mike, some of us like to have 2, 3 drinks in a night.
Keith likes to have 20% of the bottle.
It is not filled all the way up to the top of the neck.
Man, they are here, these Signatories. They're
over.
Oh, stop.
No, he's right there about here.
Stop.
But again, we have 3 ounces at least in our glasses right now. Come on.
Don't you drink shame me.
Play back the footage. I'm going to defend Keith on this one.
I've toured over the best of them.
Tootsie Roll.
It's not like Mike hasn't opened up a bottle of bourbon we were going to review and then drank the entire bottle that weekend with one other person. There was a lucky 7 we were going to review. Never going to happen.
So, Tootsie Roll, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of burnt brown sugar, slight floral note. That cucumber water is just barely in the background of everything.
Oh, man. That is a clean, sweet, strong experience.
Well, there's a good spice to it, though.
There's a lingering spice. I don't have a lot to add from what you said, Keith. You get a lot of the highlight of the nose. That cucumber note is actually really nice. Subtle, to go along with a very strong, punchy, clean, sweet sherry.
Again, I get that cucumber note a lot with Ben Rene's, Linkwood, and occasionally Klein Leash, and I enjoy it. Sometimes it can be too much. I think Linkwood, I've had a couple, I was like, oh, a little too much.
This has a very reminiscent upfront arrival of Linkwood. Doesn't have Linkwood's finish.
No.
But
a little thin in the finish.
Linkwood's got a little bit more fruitiness on the finish. This has a little bit more spiciness, which I think is cask driven, not malt driven. Let me get the water over there.
Certainly.
But yeah, this is just, again, a quality experience without a lot of like distinct notes that jump out at me. This is just very good quality old school sherry, a nice, rich, oily malt that's giving me a little bit of funkiness and not super fruity. More of a sweet, savory malt than fruit forward.
The savory is starting to come out the more the oxidization gets to it.
And that's coming from the malt as much as the sherry notes. Yeah, this is a good malt for this cask.
Agreed. Yeah,
it helps it
helps to get out the way. This is rich and sweet but at the same time being very straightforward. I don't want to say simple, but not overcomplicated.
Yeah.
It does nothing wrong. There's no over oak notes. It's incredibly sweet for this age, especially. It's almost amazing. No alcohol kick whatsoever. I don't know necessarily if I think like 33 years old though. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I'm disagreeing so much with you right now, Mike.
Give it to me.
You're done. I mean, I want to make sure you get your points out here. Because,
no.
Okay.
I just poured a little bit of water.
Yeah. So, especially even now with water, but even before, I get a spiciness in the middle, which tells me that it's got the oak. And so it doesn't have the over oak in the sense of like chalky bitterness.
No.
But the spice level, I will be off-putting and offensive to people who don't like super aged whiskey. Those people probably aren't watching this channel because we focus on older premium whiskeys. We like that note. But if you are somebody sensitive to that spice is pretty intense, I think.
I agree.
The finish, it really ends with like a cinnamon, like burnt sugar, burnt cinnamon.
Yeah, I think that's coming from the oak big time. I mean, it's got some good oak. I'm also getting a pretty good alcohol kick on the finish too, but I'm kind of like pausing there because is it the spice wood or is it the alcohol? I think it's a little of both. I'm loving it, man. But I definitely got to say, like, again, I like oaky and I like a little bit of alcohol notes. You have to have a bite to me on a whiskey. I mean, to some degree, to really be oomph, and this has got it in spades.
Yeah, I told you there's some good Signatory sherry cask.
I've never denied there are some good ones. The recent ones have been rough, and thankfully this one's old enough where it's still
those
really
ones
good.
when they take those ones that are average and then they just put a first fill for 2 years. Now sometimes it works.
I think they
a
just
lot of
set it
times
on-
it doesn't.
I think they set the casks on fire sometimes before they put them in there. They're just like, we just want to kill you with flavor.
Handles water well. It's extremely consistent.
Ooh, I added more water. And you know what, Mike? It's actually giving me reminders of the Talisker 30.
Really?
Yeah.
From what part of it?
That fruitiness with like the subtle, like,
Juicy fruit?
no, but that's not a bad note as well.
So
Because I'll get right to this. Like, there's the way the oak and the fruit play together is very reminiscent of that Talisker 30. This is a more subdued version. But
there's a strong salinity, not like Talisker salinity. There's a salinity mixed with that cinnamon at the tail end. Taste it.
I'll have to go back for that
Taste
one.
the finish. There's a salty with the cinnamon.
But so I'm getting this like old school sherry meets fruitiness where, we talk about, like, for example, the corrugated glue notes where you're like a young wood. This is this beautiful where light oak notes are playing with fruits, and that's what's happening here. This is a subtle whiskey despite the extreme darkness with a really, really strong spice bite there in the middle. But what makes this whiskey so good are the subtleties, actually. And that's why I think keep adding water until you get it nice and subtle. Because it's got some great subtleties here.
All right, boys. Let's get to whiskey score time. It is Keith's bottle. So, Dustin, you go first, and we'll go right down the line, my friend.
I'm going to give this... I wish I could get another pour of this one before I come here, but I'm going to give it a 90.
You can have another pour if you want it.
Well, not on the video. We'll do it later. But my point is, I usually when I go 90, and that's like a really high. That's like me saying this is $500 whiskey level kind of stuff. And I try to keep the 90 very, like, upper echelon. 89s I give away pretty easily. 90s I avoid. I think this is hitting that 90 note. And I'm definitely getting another pour here tonight, Keith. I'm really appreciative of you bringing this excellent whiskey. It does subtlety beautifully. I actually have to think where it's bold might be its actual weakness, which is an odd comment to make on a cask strength 33-year-old whiskey, but I love what it's doing, especially with water.
I'm at 89. I'm basically right there with Dustin. I don't really disagree with anything he has to say. I mean, there's no off-putting notes. Extremely clean, sweet, just almost perfect sherry for what this malt is doing. Excellent whiskey. I wish I had a little bit better of a finish. And it could maybe have a couple more dimensions, but other than that, it's only knock on it. Solid offer.
A little peat in there.
Something.
I feel like there is peat in here, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's something like...
There's some wisp of smoke from that.
Yeah.
It's very peppery, too.
It wouldn't shock me if
spice is
33
coming
years
out.
ago, Glen Elgin used a little bit more peat in their malt than they do today.
Or
It
maybe
might
it's
just
from
be
the oak.
the wood smoke.
Right.
It's
Could be,
30
too.
It's 33.
That's a long time.
Mike and I have discovered, though, when we like drink 30 plus 40-year-old whiskeys, people are like, yeah, actually, back in this year when they distilled it, they actually still use
a little bit of peat.
7 ppms or something. So
So I'm at a 90 as well. I really do think, Mike, can excuse me. I don't want to bump you. Once it gets down there, I'll probably be at a 91, maybe a 92.
wouldn't shock me.
Because
Yeah.
it's already gotten significantly better from when I had it the other night. It does a really good job of putting those like burnt brown sugars with cola, with some fruity notes, with a little bit of Tootsie Roll, with that cucumber water. But I mean, there could be a little bit more complexity. The nose and the palate's really good, I would say. I agree with you. That cinnamon wood spice is good, but it's so intense with the peppery, like salinity salt, and then like just cinnamon.
Yeah,
right at the
I
end.
almost went with the 89 because of that, but I just
How can you fault it for having like age? You know what I mean?
once I put like the second dash of water there, it just got better. Like the fact that this kept getting better with water despite not being super strong initially, just shows me that this is just incredible malt.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, we'd love to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Thanks for Malted Man Cave.
See you next time.